As a teenager, Jessa dreamed of escape and tried several times to run away.
I tried to mentally escape when I could, and that was hard. I had a lot of daydreams that, like, someday I'd be rescued, or someday that I would be able to live with freedom.
She also began cutting and entertained thoughts of suicide for years. Then in 2007, at age 20, Jessa was handpicked by the cult's leader to attend a remote camp for girls. She felt anything but special.
I felt like I was worthless. I didn't want to live. I hated who I was. I hated the fact that I was a woman. I hated the fact that I had even been born. And I was a complete wreck. And I was in this dark place of like trying to figure out how to kill myself. I literally could not do this anymore.
Today you will hear about an extreme story of redemption. It's the most dramatic redemption story you have ever heard in your life. One of the sure signs that someone is not telling the truth is that they always try to make their stories the most extreme of anyone else around them. The most extreme story of abuse, the most extreme story of neglect, the most extreme story of redemption, and so on. It's like they have to top any other story. I knew a young man once who, in conversation, would always use the phrase, "and even more so," to top any point others might make when having a discussion. He wasn't lying, but it was a similar mindset. It seemed like he felt he must give a more in-depth thought or nuance to any subject being discussed than anyone else might offer in the conversation. This is very clear in the case of Jessa Dillow Crisp. When investigating her tales, I found that no matter the situation, Jessa seems to feel compelled to win the contest of being the most. Among others, this is one of the reasons her stories are more extreme than any others you've likely heard before. She unwittingly reveals this compulsion to be the most in a story she tells about an exercise she participated in a college class.
In my sociocultural class, my professor had this exercise that she had the whole entire class engaged with. We went outside, and as we were outside, she started to read through a list of questions. Questions like, if you've had access to as many books as you would have ever wanted as a child, take a step forward. But if you've experienced gender-based violence, take a step back. She said if your parents owned their own home, if they owned their own car, take 2 steps ahead. And if you've experienced child sexual abuse or sexual violence, take a step back. As I took my steps back, I ended up being all alone within that place. It was really hard for me. I felt shame that I hadn't felt for a long time. I saw the great depth of the oppression that I've had to push through.
When I listened to this account, knowing by that time that Jessa had not been sex trafficked by her parents at all, I saw it from a different perspective. I realized Jessa loved that exercise. By lying about her background and circumstances, she was able to claim to be the most disadvantaged person in the room. She wants to win every contest of being the worst abused, most disadvantaged person anyone could imagine. And here, she was able to do it by just participating in an exercise and stepping back at every question. By the end, she was clearly the most, which is what she takes pride in. Jessa accomplishes the goal of achieving the most of everything by using extreme stories. For example, she has witnessed the most extreme and horrific things.
I had somebody very close to me tortured, and she eventually died in front of my eyes.
What's more extreme or horrifying than witnessing torture and murder? She must be the most abused. This next clip is an example of her claiming her abuse was worse than anyone could ever imagine.
I saw myself as somebody who did not have any value other than to be abused, other than to be molested and to be just completely defiled in every single way that one could imagine. It's really hard for me at times to even know what year was what, just because everything just blended together into just such trauma.
In the lawsuit against IBLP and Gothard in 2016, the other plaintiffs based their stories on repressed memories. But Jessa didn't just claim sexual harassment, inappropriate touching, or excessive attention, or even molestation. Jessa had to be the most abused, so Jessa claimed rape, the worst and most dramatic abuse of all of the rest of them. Jessa's the only person ever to have claimed to be raped by Bill Gothard. She had to be the most abused of all of the plaintiffs. And in the Capitol building in Denver, Colorado, she wanted to give the most dramatic speech. So in addition to the claim of witnessing the torture and murder of a close friend or someone close to her, she added rape by police officers to ramp up the drama even more.
There's gang raping. There's police officers who'd put handcuffs on me and rape me and tell me that I would be put in jail if I opened my voice.
Here are some other extremes. She must also be the most educationally neglected person there ever was, longing to be like other children and being locked in dark rooms, unable to play outside.
And in the midst of that time, in the midst of those experiences, I ended up not being allowed to go to school. And I remember the darkness of being locked into a room. I remember standing in my bedroom window and looking out across the backyard and seeing kids walking to school, and I'm like, what is that like? What is it like to be able to go play and kick a ball around?
In an article in 303 magazine in March of 2017, Jessa also claimed she had no idea what the landscape of her hometown looked like because she was never allowed to see it. There are articles where she describes walking off the plane in Denver and feeling the sunlight on her face and shoulders for the first time. Even the story she gives of her redemption experience must be the most dramatic of anyone else's. Listen to this story.
One afternoon, while out for a walk, Jessa was planning her suicide when
the sky came completely black. The loudest thunder that I've ever heard in my life took place right over my head, and out of the heavens came this big, huge lightning bolt that touched the ground so close to where I was standing. And in that moment, I just started to call out, Jesus, if you're real, save me. Out of the heavens, I heard an audible voice saying, the enemy has not won, I have claimed the victory.
Did you notice all the extremes in this story? She is going to commit suicide, an extreme. The sky darkens and the loudest thunder she's ever heard happens right over her head, another dramatic extreme. A lightning bolt comes out of the sky and hits the ground next to her, a rather unbelievable dramatic extreme. Then out of the heavens, she hears the audible voice of God himself speak directly to her. Another dramatic extreme. Now, can anyone ever top that redemption story? Nobody's testimony can be more dramatic than Jessa's, so she has to create the most dramatic one she can think of, and she does. I know there will be Christians who will hear this commentary and be appalled that I would even suggest that someone's testimony of finding the real God of heaven and earth is a lie. How dare someone question the testimony of a person's conversion experience? Here's how. All the way up to the moment she begins to tell the story of redemption, Jess is lying. She's lying about her childhood, lying about being sex trafficked by her parents, being used for child porn photos, and having no education. Then she starts to tell the story of redemption. After the story, she continues her lies about how receiving her master's degree is a feat of unimaginable educational achievement due to her complete neglect and abuse as a child. So does it make sense that she lied all the way up to telling the redemption miracle and then continued to lie after it? Does it make sense that she paused lying to tell a true story of God reaching out to her from the heaven with a lightning bolt and an audible voice? I'm sorry to those Christians who think we should never question anyone's story of redemption no matter what. This doesn't make sense. And if it doesn't make sense, it isn't true. I've heard real stories, dramatic testimonies, and I believe them. It isn't that God couldn't or even wouldn't give a person such an experience. Of course he would, if he decided that was needed. But a person who is telling a true story of redemption doesn't lie about their own conversion by using deception before and after it to manipulate an audience. That is just not the way real redemption is in a person's heart. Now, if this series has not convinced you yet that we must question things that don't make sense, no matter how emotional they may be, I'm not sure anything ever will. Next time, there are 2 more videos in this series to be released. In the next one, I will explain the one card tower toppling slip-up she made that I haven't made clear to you yet in this series, and it is the one that got her caught by me. I'll explain how that happened in the next video. Please remember to like, share, and comment below. Your interaction in this way helps to spread these videos to more people. Thanks for watching, and I hope to see you here next time.